snake. You know who that is?
You're kidding, right? It's
Mario, King.
Alright, let me get up in here. Let me get up in here before I forget. Yo, 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 yo. What's going on? I'm in here. I'm in here. Hello to everybody. I know those who watch it back, for those who are going to join, greetings. I probably need a little light in here, don't I? I'm a little hazy. Let me brighten myself up a little bit. Give me a sec. Bum, bum, ba-dum. A little bit better. There we go. That's better. That's better. Yeah, greetings. How we doing, guys? How we doing? Uh, and it is set up correctly. Cool. So I apologize for the lack of content in the last week. Um, as most of you already know, who are used to me and watch the content, I am on like vacation mode because I'm getting married next Sunday. So I've been like super busy with like wedding stuff, just wrapping up all the last end stuff, ordering stuff that we forgot to get, paying off the last of stuff. Just and it's a lot. And I just came back from my bachelor trip. Went to Toronto and came back on last Thursday. Came back Monday, and so we were just wrapping stuff up all week. And so, suitcases packed. Got to get my tuck. Got to go pick up 3 tuxes to take them with me because the wedding is in Ohio. If those who don't know, I'm in the Delaware Philly area. So yeah, we gotta drive up to Ohio, so I had to make sure that the car is good, pick up the tuxes, fitting half the stuff in the car, and then we're leaving well, Monday morning early. So got a lot of stuff to do, gang. Got a lot of stuff to do. So, you know, first time getting married and stuff. So sorry. So lack of content. That's the reason why. Trust and believe. There's some stuff I want to talk about and I want to drop, especially with like T-bait, Fortnite's Apocalypse. They've like really had some really crazy stuff going on. This past chapter of Tower of God has been like on the forefront of my mind. I haven't had a chance to really talk about it and get a review out and do it. So sorry about that, but we here to talk about it. So if y'all got any thoughts or ideas or whatever, feel free. I don't know if my chat is up. Is my chat up? No, yeah, it's up. Okay. So, yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think the chapter was really good. If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it like around a 7 or 8. It's one of the better ones. I didn't care for the last two, but this one was one of the better ones. I loved most of the art in it. Urek is just basically dominating the whole time, as we thought he would, right? Like, no, I don't. I know some people were holding out hope that what's his face? I'm terrible at names when I'm streaming. Um, goddamn, what's the goddamn dude's name? Danson would be a little bit stronger, or who he would be better. Um, But yeah, this was pretty much a slaughter. This was pretty much a walk down. Like it wasn't even close. Um, and that's pretty much what how I thought it would go. I didn't think dancing could show us anything that we haven't seen from. We already have a high horse for what we expect from like rankers, right? Like we have a an assumption of like how strong they are. Like if you're not a dance ranker or high ranker, obviously, then like I don't like rankers are cool, whatever. They always gonna look crazy to regulars, but like even like in the training classes or anything, I didn't see or get any hint of him being different. It's not like the test advisor. Like obviously he looks a little bit different. Dancing with somebody who could like take care of like the like what like Urek's initial Shinsu explosion when they were on the boat and he was like freaking out. If he would have handled it then, I would have had a little bit more respect for his ability and thought he was capable of more. But being that he just did nothing but panic, I didn't. I had lack of faith in like his skills when in terms of like whether or not he could take Urek. He was freaking out over his Shinsu, so I didn't think like it would be anything close. So what do you think about what Yurik said about him being stronger without Shinsu? I'm not putting too much store to that comment. I know some people are. I have read a little bit of the manga helpers threads and other Tower God spaces and Reddit, and I know some people are like really taking that comment to heart. I'm not putting too much store by that because like wow, like right now, yes, he probably is stronger without Shinsu. Meaning that, and that's just going for his physical ability though. Like I think he means like in terms of if I wanted to just use hands and feet right now, my hands or feet are way better than my Shinsu control. Like while he can muster up the Shinsu, he has no control over it. He has no base like strength for it. There is no like how like when we seen Yurik actually fight like a Lustlek, he was like I'm gonna use 5 times of my strength, 20 times of my strength. Like right now, there is none of that. So as far as him being stronger without Shinsu right now, I believe him, but I don't think that's anything like that we take on to the original story where he's fighting Lustlek and he's going to be stronger physically than Lustlek. And like no, I don't think it's that far. Like I don't think anybody should take it that far where oh yeah, if I'm fighting Lustlek, I don't have to use Shinsu, I'm stronger. Like no, it's not that. It's not that. It's just for this instance right now, since he doesn't know how to use Shinsu, yes, he's probably stronger without it, just using his hands and feet. And like whatever his god ability, we don't know what that is yet, but whatever that god like ability that he's mentioned, probably that too. So, when Yurik grew up, his light powers must have increased as well. Yeah, and they probably did, or nine probably, they most definitely did. But yeah, just to answer your comment, guys. Yeah, I don't put too much thought by that comment. It's just like right now, is he stronger without Shinsu? Yeah, probably. Just using hands and feet. But overall, if we talk about later on in the story, once he got mastery of it and control of it and got actual named abilities and shit, no, he's definitely not stronger. So do I think that he has like taint like his god ability is still one thing though. Like that ability where he said he can like capture something or whatever, that is still a different thing. We don't have enough information on that. But as far as just like hands and feet, yeah. Also with a different world theory, because Yurik said he doesn't recognize the world the Great Warriors are talking about. So I have been pondering on that whole thing, like basically since I read this chapter. So my thought behind that is it's just a difference in time frame. I think it's just a difference in time frame. So like we there have been like long been theories about how time works in Tower of God, right? Like how Bomb entered after Rachel, but Rachel wasn't there when Bomb entered. So like it's that theory of like, oh, if I enter 5 minutes behind you, that's actually 5 days or actually 5 hours. So it's like that type of theory, that type of time theory, right? So the thing is, since the Great Warriors entered versus when Urek entered, we're talking about inside the tower. At least there's tens of thousands of years that have passed. So for Urek, it might have been like maybe 100, or maybe if tens of thousands of years have passed within the tower. So let's just say, I don't know what the exact number is, but let's just say 40,000 years passed within the tower since the great warriors entered. Or let's say be a little bit more, let's just say 20,000 years passed. In Urek's time, that might be 200 years. So, oh, is my voice a little low? It might just be me. I'm not projecting much because my fiance is down there having a call, so I'm not projecting my voice that much. So I apologize if I'm a little low. I can speak a little bit more into the mic, and I can bring my mic up a little bit too, if that needs to be. But I think it's more of a time. I think it's just a time thing. So maybe in between the period of when the Great Warriors entered to when Urek entered is like 200 years, maybe something like that. That's my theory. That's just my theory. I think it's just a time thing. So could the world have gotten a little bit better within like the time frame of 200 years? Maybe. Not saying that's right, because that doesn't necessarily explain why the Great Warriors time frame was so bad 200 years ago. But I, I'm I'm thinking of it in, again, I can be wrong. I'm thinking of it from a more realistic standpoint, right? So like 200 years in our time, right? We were there's barely any technology. There aren't any cars. Like there's nothing happening in our world. And 200, so like you could say that like society was like a lot, at least technology wise, was a lot, obviously underdeveloped. But 200 years later, there's like more access to everything for everybody in this day and age. So life is naturally better for a lot of people. So that's just my mind frame though. I put a more realistic spin on it, but I don't that doesn't mean I'm right. Like I think it may be a little bit more sophisticated than that. I think that's a like my line of thinking is boring. It's boring for the story. That's just to say that, oh, they just enter in a different time period. It's boring. So I don't think that's the case. I think where a lot of people are thinking about, where they're saying different dimensions or different planets, like I've seen those type of things. I think those are more entertaining to entertain as theories. Um, they also could just be lying for people from the outside to be content inside the tower. That's true. So you're saying the outside world got better after the Great Warriors joined? That's what I'm saying. Go. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm taking a more realistic stance to it than like an obviously a fictional stance, but it doesn't. I don't think that's an entertaining thought or a creative thought way to go about this. So that's the only logic my brain could come up with what evidence we have. So that's all. I'm not putting too much store by it, or y'all don't put too much store by it. That's just my logical brain talking. As far as like theories, I don't have too many. You know, doesn't Fanta rule the outside world? Urek says the world isn't full of despair. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm confused, because Fanta should be the god of the world, right? Like that's kind of what we were told in the first chapter of the series, is that there was light in the darkness. The light got taken by Fanta. Fanta basically runs the world with his followers. So that's kind of what I see. So how is it that Urek's life is better than when the warriors were around? So it could be two different worlds. It could honestly be a thing where there's a door to a tower in different worlds. Like it can honestly be that. It could be the different world theory where there's a door. There's four doors and they all lead to different areas. But that doesn't explain, because that makes it hard to understand, how is Arlene and Bomb connected to like the outside god, right? Because we assume that the outside god is the darkness god that created Fanta, is who Bomb based in Arlen are mixed with, right? That's what we all assume to be. So how is it that Fanta's world and the darkness god are related to Bomb, but the Great Warriors in Arlen aren't from the same place that Urek's from. That's where the confusion comes because obviously the darkness guy is just a god that exists in both worlds, but they come from different places. So it could also be, it could also like slightly be that Urek was raised differently. So like we know that he's a godly being, right? So let's just say that Urek lives in Olympus and the great warriors live on Earth. Like it could be that type of thing, right? Where he's an enlightened one, so he's special. Like he's already special. Like he's already a different type of being than the great warriors already are. So Urek's life could be good. His life could be absolutely good if he lives in like Olympus and they live on like Earth where Fanta's destroying shit. Like it could be something like that. I'm just throwing theories out there. I don't. There's nothing concrete. Um, Urek could also be the privileged outside since he is probably the last luminous one. That's what I'm saying, guys. Like that, I'm thinking more along lines of that. Urek could just be living in a more happy reality than the Great Warriors were. As for multiverse theory, Yorick spoke about the outside world of bomb. He didn't mention any multiverse. That's true. That's true. I see. I see. So, do you think Yorick can scrap with the admin like Enryu? So, here's my thought process with Enryu. Right? It's hard to understand Enryu at this point in the story. Yurik creates has created so much conflict and contradictions in the real story that it's hard to understand Enryu. Enryu killed an administrator. We all know this is a fact. It's one of the coolest things throughout the entire story, right? We're talking about the whole thing with Yurik mentioning he's from a different world, Sleepy. So we're just talking along those lines. Enryu coming into the tower, going to a floor that he wanted to go to like that, and then killing an administrator immediately. It it doesn't make sense to us right now, especially me, when we see what Yurek's doing. Because Urek is overpowering a ranker like it's nothing, and he says it's nothing. And but then you have Enryu, he's not mentioned to be any type of luminous one or anything. We don't have any details on Enryu. But by that point, all the luminous ones outside should be captured. Not necessarily dead, but they should be jeweled and captured by Fanta. So it doesn't really make sense that Enryu can kill an admin automatically, but Urek can't automatically, right? Like it's hard to process that part of it. And like if anything, the two people whose levels make the most sense, who match the most, is Enryu and Fanta. Their two levels right now make the most sense. As like Fanta is obviously like a literal god created from God, and then Enryu being able to basically slay something that's considered a god within the tower. So then you look at Urek, but Urek is an actual god, a fact that we know from the outside, or at least made from gods. Let's just call him a god because that's the only way I can look at it. He's a literal light god. He has called himself the light, right? But he's not scared to fight an administrator either. But like you see what I'm saying? Like it's hard to grasp this all into like to something concrete, because even when I'm thinking about Enryu and how he just killed an administrator like it was nothing, I'm thinking like, okay, if Enryu maybe is, let's say Enryu is somehow a luminous one, right? And he used his outside god abilities to kill the administrator like it was nothing. That's why the administrator died. But then we get told that Enryu used Shinsu spears. Give me one sec, guys. I Sorry about that. So I forget. I lost my chain of thought. But I think I was talking about how it's hard to grasp that like somebody like Enryu used Shinsu, as we are told it's Shinsu, to kill an administrator, right? I'm thinking that Urek's ability to control Shinsu is something similar. And you know what? In all honesty, Urek technically could be holding back. Like there's no like in the main story, there's no reason for us to assume that he's not holding back, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, for example, he doesn't have interest in fighting so hard. We know that. But now that we know that Urek started off broken and that he does have a outside god ability that he can use that gives him a massive advantage. Do you guys think that current Urek in the story can kill an administrator? Like, legit question. Do you guys think current Urek in the story can kill an administrator? I that's a tough question for me. I think right now, if I'm gathering the amount of time that Urek's been in the tower, his gained mastery over Shinsu, can he kill an admin? A part of me wants to say yes. A part of me really wants to say yes, but I don't know. I want to say yes. If either the thorn or the fact that he's yeah, Henry being the administrator with Shinshu will be so weird. You'd expect outside powers, but that could be the thorn. I did forget to mention the thorn. It could be the thorn. That is right. It's either the thorn or the fact that he's the messenger of God, and that is the tower of God. So it would make sense that he's the best at using Shinsu. Hmm. But what does that mean, though? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, I understand he's the messenger of God, but what does that mean? The messenger for who? Like, what God? Because it can't be Fanta, because Fanta just entered on his own, right? Um, and Enryu came first before Fanta. I mean, he was curious about the powers in FOD and was disappointed with the showings, calling it a toenail. So maybe he wants to fight one, but being told not to. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I bet my money on Urek. Maybe he uses his light powers. If he can use his full light power, then definitely. Because I'm right now, side story. He says his power is coming back. He might be handicapped right now, to be honest, in the present. Okay, I'm willing to believe that, and I'm actually I right now as dominating as he's been in this current chapter. I'm willing to believe that he can kill an administrator if he wanted to. I'm very open to the idea. Um, this tower is called Tower of God, and Enryu is the messenger of this god. Well, that's the name of the story. I don't know if the tower is actually called the Tower of God. Like I don't know if the tower refers to itself as the Tower of God. I don't know if I've ever heard any characters refer to it as that. I could be wrong, obviously, but I don't. Does Hedon refer to it as that? I like the fact that when Urek asked the administrator stood on business, what is it straight to the eye and said, "I bet there will be." Yeah, yeah, no, that was fire. That's one of my like favorite parts of at least the side series that Urek doesn't. He asked that question, but without outside God is the outside God, not the tower. God, tower's God. He now referred to it as the Tower of God. Did he? in the like in the original like manga, he refers to it as the Tower of God. I mean, if he does, okay, I don't. I'm not saying you're lying or anything. I'm going to say that I'm going to be that guy and say no. Say what? No, you can't kill an administrator. I mean, I'm not fighting the idea of that. But back to like this time frame thing. So I don't know if it's multiversal. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to say multiversal. I'm not there yet. I think Urek may live in a different type of situation because he's a luminous one. Like we already saw that we know that Urek's special. I don't think that Urek's doing normal shit. Like he's not living in normal people society. Like the way we can definitely view this as like proven so far in the story that the Great Warriors were regular people from the outside that came in, and Urek was a god from the outside coming in. Two completely different situations. So maybe that's why he doesn't see it that way. I'm more willing to believe a status thing over anything right now. But yeah, and I don't think the tower was ever called Tower Guy. Yeah, I'm not sure if the tower. I have to go back and read the first couple chapters, and anytime we have interactions with Hedon, but I can't remember Hedon referring to the tower as the Tower of God. The reason administrators are invincible is because of their control over Shinsu. But if Yurek's light powers are superior to the Shinsu power, then I don't see why he can't defeat an admin. No, I agree with you, and I agree with you. But here's the thing: the like while the administrators are supposed to have dominance over Shinsu, Enryu killed an administrator with Shinsu. So it's like unless that gets retconned, and CU says that it wasn't Shinsu, it was outside God power that killed an administrator. Right now, I want to say current. I want to believe that current Urek can kill an administrator if he wanted to. I want to believe that, but Urek is so anti-war, anti-chaos that he doesn't fight anything, which is difficult to understand because we know the whole like we know what it takes to get through the tower, right? Like obviously collecting the 13-month series weapons, getting the red rings, getting forming the key and opening the door. But to me, this seems like it doesn't sound like a task that Yurick can't complete. If I'm thinking about it, like if he really wanted to, if he was really so dominant and he really wanted to get out the tower the way he says he does, I don't see how Yurick couldn't hunt down every single princess who has a 13-month series weapons, take it from them, form the half of the key. It is the red dump stuff that makes it complicated. And it could be why he's going after them. I don't know. That could be the reason why he's going after them. But the other half of the key is like the like is a bigger mystery, right? Because we don't know who all have red rings. Um, we only know of Karaka and Wang Nam. We haven't seen the boss actually show a red ring. We assuming he has one, obviously, right? But we haven't seen him like actually show it. So the task of forming the key, honestly, I know Yurek's searching for a way out of the tower, but to me, the only way is up. That's the only way. The only way is up. And how do you go up? You have to complete the task. So I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know what his. I don't really know. I really want to know what the goal of Wahai song is. Like, the goal is to get outside the tower, but not by the normal means. Like, not by the means with which the tower was created. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's hard for me to it's hard for me to understand that if you know the way to get out of the tower, everybody knows is to go up, and you're as strong as Urek is, and Zahar's the ones blocking your path. You should be doing everything in your power if you're trying to get out the way you're trying to get out. It kind of doesn't make sense. I yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. You think Z could be Luminous One because he has gold Shinsu like Urek? Didn't say he has the seed of the king, possibly light ruler outside the leader. I got catcher. Excuse me. Do I think that's a hard special? Not particularly. I I don't think he's more special than the other Great Warriors. I don't think he's any type of luminous one or anything. Um, yeah, I don't think so. Like obviously, his symbol means something on the outside, and he's the one that like has already always promoted that symbol. So maybe he comes from a certain family on the outside that gives him a little bit of like privilege. There could be a family that just looks like what he is, and that's why. That's why. But I don't know. And Ryu had the thorn though. I mean, he did, and that maybe increases his power to use Shinsu. And and then if we're talking about the thorn, right? Enryu didn't have the thorn that boosts your strength that bomb uses. Enryu had the spatial thorn. Now that doesn't mean it reacted that way to him, but Enryu had the spatial thorn. So maybe that's the reason why he was able to teleport to that floor. I don't know if that thorn necessarily increased his strength. Do you prefer Yurek's story as the lead protagonist in his spinoff, or do you miss or much prefer Bomb's take of the lead protagonist in the Tower of God Tells universe? Story universe. I don't love Urek as the as the main character. I'll tell you what, if I didn't read Tower of God and I only read the Urek side story, I would not be high on the Urek side story. Only because the broken trope of start off extremely overpowered main character, and as soon as the story starts, like that is so old and broken and tired. Ooh, excuse me. Tired like I'm yelling. Yeah, that's such a tired concept that no, I don't know if I'd be interested in the story if it was about this. So to answer your question, and you had the whole. I mean, it's also possible that Arlen didn't leave the tower, but the outside guy and you let her out on purpose. And you knows the secret door to the tower for some reason. I mean, that's true. That is true. But the hardest thing that is grasping like how if Enryu left the tower, how did he get out? If Fanta left the tower, how did they get out? And like we can assume it's that door, that secret door that we've heard about and that we've seen the painting of, but like how? How is where it gets weird. It seems like Yurik had a normal birth and he's that arrogant, but jock arrogant, not God arrogant. I agree. No, I agree with you. But Yurik does seem like a cocky guy, though. He is a cocky guy. If Yurik was like pampered up until like adulthood, I would not be surprised by that. I think Inryu had the complete thorn with all the powers complete. Then yeah, then oh okay, yeah that makes him extremely busted then. Bomb is so boring and empty. He has no personality. He didn't grow up even after all these hundreds of chapters. Hopefully that changes. I don't think Bomb's boring. I think Bomb's a pretty solid main character. Bomb has moments where he loses his shit, and Bomb is also not perfect, and he tries to be the nice guy and tries to find like the silver lining in situations. I can respect that from a character, and he also like he is a bit shonen like. That's like that is the issue with him. Um, but it's hard for you to develop your main character because it's what people fell in love with, right? You can only double down on their type of character. For example, Bomb and Luffy are compared to each other a lot, right? Luffy hasn't changed since the beginning of the story, but he has grown in certain aspects where he's not as reckless. He has gotten stronger, and that's a part of his charm. Now Bomb, on the other hand, this story is more ruthless and less forgiving, like a One Piece, because people actually die in this story. You actually lose friends and stuff like that. And we've seen Bomb rage. Like he literally raged on White for it, but Bomb's Bomb is still super flawed in areas I don't think he should be flawed in. If I had to put it, like he shouldn't be flawed in certain places anymore, but he still is. Like for example, to me, him fighting Dumas was like the craziest thing during season 3. It's because like you're so underpowered, and I'm like, yo, please don't give him a free win, which they did. Please don't give him a free win over somebody he can't beat. It reminds me of like the Luffy and Katakuri situation. Like Luffy literally willed his way through that fight, even though he was outmatched in every single aspect of the fight. I hate that type of shit. I don't appreciate that type of shit. But yeah. But yeah, if we're talking about what else happened in this chapter that we need to discuss. Oh, let's talk about Evelyn a little bit, right? So I think that Evelyn wakes up and absolutely loses her shit. I think she loses her shit when she wakes up, okay? You know why she loses her shit? Because when she looks next to her when she wakes up, she's gonna see Lou's dead body and she's gonna freak the fuck out. Obviously, it's not Lou. We know this is just one of those clone copy things, right? But that's what she's gonna think it is. She's gonna say, "Lou, what the fuck," and freak the fuck out. And that queen is gonna come to her, and it might kill that guy, Cheongium, the blonde, gold haired guy. It might come and kill him because it can kill rankers, right? We've already been told that it takes multiple rankers to deal with it. She might summon that thing, and it may kill him. I don't think it's his story. Remember, he not said you're not supposed to be. I don't think you're going up. I don't think going up is the way to get out of the tower. Only more floors for adventure. I mean, there is a top though. That's my point. There is a top. There is a place where the tower peaks out. So, but I understand what you're trying to say, Sleepy. Um, yeah. So Evelyn might freak out. She's gonna summon that queen for sure. Now, what do you guys think that Danzin told Urek at the end where he freaked out? Where Urek is just like, you're disgusting. Like you're like he's talking about the test advisor. The test advisor is disgusting. What they're doing on that island is disgusting. What do you guys think is happening? Is this the beginning of the red light district? Is that what this is? Is this the red light district? Like, is this like yo like it sounds like red light district like because that's the only like at least massive scientific like place where we know that like weird weird shit is happening. So like we know that certain characters were born in the red light district and they're like some like experiment type shit when it comes to people happening there. Like people experiments are happening. This island is sounding like a similar place. I think the island has followers of darkness there. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Um, what it sounds like to me is this island is just like it's like a farm. It's like a farm. That's what I think about it when I think about it. It's like a farm. It's a people farm. But here's the thing about the red light district, right? I don't think the red light district is necessarily one ancient place, right? Because the red light district existed, like the evidence of it existing was one as its own place, but then there's Traumary's ship where we see the red lights hanging in the ship. And so to me, when I see red lights in Tower of God, that means that's like some type of person thing is happening. Because in terms of like experiments and shit, that's what Traumery was doing on his own ship, his own mothership, and when we saw the red lights. So I'm thinking like this place has got to be something close to that. Um, Sacrificing innocence and insane and weird experiment using people power essence as a resource, maybe prop the power or something. Red light district inhabitants aren't even rankers or regulars, but for some reason they're strong as hell. Well, that's not actually true because we know that Bel-Air. Bel-Air is a product of the red light district, and Bel-Air is weak as hell. Bel-Air can't fight for shit. So that's not necessarily true. But Urek's pissed off about it, so I'm just wondering what's happening over there. Oh shit! I am a little tired today. It's got to be something very unethical and immoral to prompt a reaction like that from Urek. And yeah, I stand with you, H. I'm on the same type time as you. I think it's something bad, and I honestly think it's a people. I think it's a people farm. It's a person farm. It's a person farm, and it's something related to darkness. I agree with the goat there. It's something related to darkness, and I think it's pretty much related to the people. Like we know that. Find out soon. Just wish to know why the smell of salt is so important. It might just be a detail of like the area. It might just be like it might be how they identify people who are from there. So for example, right? If you're from a tribe and you have a tribal tattoo, then you know that that person's from a certain tribe. So if this island is about experiments and shit, right? If it's a people farm, maybe the people who are made in the laboratories are like salty, like they're made with salt and shit, and it makes it easier for people like who are strong or at least a part of it to identify them. So, for example, right, Yurik is able to tell everybody who smells like salt that's taking the test with him. Obviously, Neo, obviously, Lou, he's able to tell this. For anybody else who also want to identify these experimental people or these people who have been experimented on, you make them smell like salt. I think that's all that comes down to. It's just an identification thing. All right, it's almost 7 o'clock for me. Oh, it's 7:15. Damn, time went by fast. All right, guys. So, um, I don't think there's anything much else to talk about during the chapter. I mean, the fight was pretty much straightforward. Urek kind of ran through the guy. Obviously, Urek wants to take on the test advisor. I think that's pretty clear. I think we all knew that already, though. I wonder how he feels about watching Urek fight and if he even think he can beat Urek. I don't know. I think we'll probably see that next week what he thinks, and we'll probably see with the test advisor's reaction to Danzin losing and not being able to see where they went off to. And I think we'll also see Evelyn's what's going to happen with Evelyn after she reached the nest of bulls. Um, for you, do you think Tower of God has lived up and stayed consistent from the start of the reading? Have you been reading it now? Like, how long have you been reading? Like, are you glad it's reached this point this way? No, absolutely not. Tower of God season two is the like to me is like in my top five all greatest readings of all time. Like I love Tower of God season two. It's damn near perfect. Like to me, there's just like so many good parts. I think the setting was fantastic. The amount of like it's not just towers, it's not just floors. The setting is great. Even like some of the tests and the fighting were really good. We got introduced to some of the, like the coolest characters, and the way it ended was great. It was like fantastic. I love Tower of God season two. Season one is also like in second place, really good. Really get you hooked. And then season three is like the worst so far. So can I say it's as good as it was in season two? No, not nah. Mm-mm. There's so many inconsistencies in season three, so many things that contradict season two and season one when it comes to like ranking people, their fighting strength. Um, yeah, there's some contradictions there, and like some of the writing and the pacing can get really boring. A lot of the stuff in season three was like really boring. I feel like unnecessary. Like we learned about characters that we're never gonna see again, and that didn't have significance to the story. Like we've seen some really cool designs of characters get wasted as like they lasted two chapters. Giskar, uh, like some really cool shit, and then and that's like the main complaint for season three for a lot of people. Like there's just a lot of inconsistencies and some stuff that just didn't. It contradicts a lot of stuff that we previously learned. Like especially when it comes to ranking powers and stuff. Like that's the one of the biggest controversies in the community right now. It's just like ranking people in their actual strength power. Um, so how did that princess compete with York if he can be the anchor so easily? Bad writing. That's a good point, Muhammad. I don't know how we make sense of that right now, especially when we haven't seen how strong she actually is. I think it's more of the shock factor and how Yurik may have think she was weaker than what she was portraying. I think it's more so of that. I don't. I think it's gonna make sense later on. Bro, season three made us stop respecting rankers. No, facts. That's the reason why like the power scaling system in Tower of God is so broken right now, and a lot of shit that doesn't make sense. Like, especially when you got regulars who like Kuhn and Rack in the middle of everything going on with high rankers. We're not talking about rankers, bro. We're not talking about what just happened in this story where a supreme or godly being luminous one beats a ranker. No, we're talking about Kuhn and Rack defeating rankers, bro. And not just rankers, high rankers. The strongest amongst the rankers. It's inconsistent. It didn't make sense. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, but it didn't make sense. So a lot of that shit happened in season three, and that's why I feel like a lot of people did not like it. So, but all right, gang, I gotta go cook dinner. Okay, I gotta cook dinner tonight. So I am getting up off here now. I'm not doing any reviews. Okay, I won't be. I probably won't be doing a review for almost a month now. Like my next review probably won't come back until I get off my honeymoon. So it's gonna be a little while. I will be streaming though because streaming is a lot simpler and easier for me to do versus recording, editing, putting it out. That this is easier to do. So next week I will stream and talk about next week's chapter in my hotel room. So probably on like a Wednesday or Thursday, because my guests don't start coming in until Friday and Thursday. So maybe Wednesday in my hotel room I do a live stream from my phone and we talk about the chapter. That'll probably happen. And a similar thing might happen the next week where I'll just call and or stream from a laptop or something, and we'll talk about the chapter. And then I go on my honeymoon that next week, and I won't be back until the week of the 19th. So yeah, during that week I'll probably get back to regularly scheduled programming, but till then, yeah, it's gonna be mostly live stream, guys. So, but thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping in. H, Sleepy, Muhammad, Goat, anybody else that I missed? I don't. Gaius, of course. Thank you guys for stopping in and checking out the stream. I appreciate you guys, and I'll be seeing you next week soon. Don't forget to join the Discord. I am always floating up in there, so